Across a small volcanic island in the Pacific, nearly 900 massive stone figures were carved from solid rock. Some weigh more than 70 tons. Many were transported miles from the quarry where they were shaped. The society that built them had no metal tools, no large draft animals, and no recorded machinery. Archaeologists have proposed several transport methods, though each leaves certain questions unresolved. And while practical explanations continue to be refined, the scale and coordination involved suggest a level of organization that still invites closer study. On a remote island in the Pacific Ocean, hundreds of giant stone faces stand silently, staring across the land. These are the Moai statues of Easter Island, massive, mysterious, and unforgettable. For centuries, they have puzzled explorers, scientists, and storytellers alike. Who built them, and why? How did an isolated society move such heavy monuments without modern tools? What beliefs drove them to carve these figures out of volcanic rock? And what happened to the people who once lived among them? Today, we dive deep into one of history's greatest mysteries.
The Moai statues are more than just ancient sculptures. Each one represents a powerful ancestral figure believed to watch over the people and protect their lands. Carved from volcanic stone, most Moai were created between 1250 and 1500 of the Common Era. Some are over 10 meters tall and weigh more than 80 tons. Most face inland, as if guarding the villages they once stood above. They were placed on sacred platforms called ahu, which also served as ceremonial burial sites. Their construction reflects great skill in carving, planning, and social coordination. The faces are stylized yet unique, suggesting they represent specific individuals or lineages. Though their outer shells are stone, many believe they hold spiritual meaning far deeper than their appearance. They reflect a society that honored its ancestors through monumental art. Today, their presence invites both scientific curiosity and cultural reverence. The Moai remain a symbol of mystery and mastery.
To understand the Moai, we must first understand the people who built them. The Rapa Nui people trace their ancestry back to a chief named Hotu Matua, who arrived by sea centuries ago. According to legend, he came with his followers and founded the island's first settlement. Archaeological studies support a Polynesian origin, with settlers arriving around the 12th century of the Common Era. Over time, they developed a rich culture shaped by isolation, faith, and the natural world. Their myths speak of gods, spirits, and ancestral power, deeply tied to the land. These stories help explain why the Moai were so important. They were not just art, they were part of life, belief, and identity. Let us look closer at these early beginnings.
The Rapa Nui people believe that their ancestors came from a distant land across the sea, led by Hotu Matua. He divided the island among his sons, creating clans that would shape the future of Easter Island. This foundational myth was passed down orally for centuries, preserving both memory and meaning. Archaeological evidence confirms that the island was settled by skilled Polynesian navigators. They brought with them knowledge of sailing, agriculture, and social organization. Over generations, they adapted to the island's unique environment, developing a culture unlike any other. The Moai became central to that culture, serving as spiritual links between the living and the dead. They were placed on ahu that often included tombs, blending architecture, religion, and remembrance. These early builders did not just work with stone, they worked with stories. Their myths gave purpose to their monuments. By combining legend with labor, they built one of the world's most remarkable cultural legacies. Their history is both recorded in tradition and written into the very stones of the island.
The Moai were more than sculptures, they were sacred. Each statue represented an ancestor whose spiritual power could guide and protect the community. This belief in ancestral energy, known as mana, shaped how the Moai were built and positioned. The statues faced the villages, symbolizing a connection between past and present. For the Rapa Nui, honoring ancestors was not a choice, it was a duty. Rituals were performed to keep this bond alive. The Moai stood as physical reminders of values, lineage, and guidance. Their silent faces carried presence, purpose, and protection. Let us now explore this spiritual foundation more closely.
Ancestor worship was central to Rapa Nui society. The people believed that deceased leaders could continue to influence the living through their spiritual energy. This power was channeled through the Moai statues, each one built to honor a specific ancestor. The larger the statue, the greater the mana it was believed to hold. The sacred platforms, or ahu, were often built over burial sites, turning the Moai into both memorials and spiritual guardians. Ceremonies were held at these sites, connecting generations through chants, offerings, and dance. The statues themselves were carved with care and purpose, often with stylized features that reflected clan identity. These traditions bound the community together and shaped the island's social structure. The Moai were not just historical figures, they were living symbols of guidance. Even after centuries of silence, their presence continues to speak of devotion and belief. Their faces remind us that for the Rapa Nui, the past was never far away. It stood tall, in stone, and watched over the living.
The Moai were massive, yet they were moved across great distances. This has led to one of the island's biggest questions: how? With no wheels, no metal tools, and limited resources, the Rapa Nui people developed techniques both simple and sophisticated. Some say they used wooden sleds and ropes. Others believe they used a walking method, rocking the statues forward step by step. Experimental archaeology has shown that both are possible. What is certain is that it took planning, strength, and unity. Let us explore how the impossible became possible.
The average Moai weighs between 10 and 15 tons, with the heaviest exceeding 80 tons. Moving these figures required more than just manpower. It required method. Some archaeologists suggest that large wooden sleds and rollers were used, but this would have caused deforestation, something that may have contributed to the island's later problems. Another theory is the walking method, where teams use ropes to tilt and swing the Moai side to side. This technique has been successfully demonstrated with full-scale replicas. The statue's curved bases may have even been designed for this method. Transport paths have been found across the island, suggesting planned movement routes. What stands out is the combination of practical skill and ritual purpose. These were not just engineering projects, they were spiritual journeys. Every Moai movement was a sacred act of connection, and every placement was the result of collective faith and effort.
The builders of the Moai left behind wonders, but they also faced collapse. What happened to them is a story full of questions and theories. Some believe they exhausted their resources, cutting down trees and damaging the ecosystem. Others point to outside contact, disease, and slavery as the cause of decline. Oral stories tell of civil war and fallen statues. Archaeological sites show signs of violence, disruption, and drastic change. The truth may lie in a mix of internal and external challenges. Understanding this collapse helps us understand the limits of isolation, overuse, and disruption. Let us now examine the evidence.
Pollen samples reveal that the island once had dense forests, which disappeared over time. Without trees, the Rapa Nui could no longer make canoes, build tools, or support large-scale farming. This environmental decline may have led to food shortages, social tension, and eventual collapse. But recent research suggests the people adapted more than once believed. Rock gardens, chicken houses, and other innovations helped them survive. Still, the arrival of Europeans brought diseases and slave raids that devastated the population. By the late 1800s, only a small community remained. Many Moai had been toppled, either by natural disaster or human conflict. Today, some are restored, while others remain as they were found. The fall of Rapa Nui's society is both tragic and instructive. It teaches us about balance between people and nature, belief and survival. And it reminds us how fragile even the most impressive civilizations can be.
In recent years, science has opened new doors into Easter Island's past. Ground-penetrating radar, satellite images, and 3D scans are helping us see what lies beneath and around the Moai. Archaeologists have discovered that many statues have full bodies buried underground. These findings reveal details about how the statues were placed and how long they remained in use. Researchers are also studying soil, tools, and the layout of villages. Combined with oral history, this research builds a fuller picture of life on the island. It shows us a society that was complex, creative, and resilient. And while many mysteries remain, each discovery brings us closer to understanding the true story. Let us take a look at what modern science is uncovering.
New studies have shown that the Moai were not just heads. They have full torsos buried over time by natural erosion and ceremonial construction. Excavations reveal petroglyphs and carvings on their bodies that may hold deeper meanings. Researchers have also uncovered roads and pathways, some likely used to move the statues. Soil analysis shows that the Rapa Nui people enriched their farmland using volcanic rock, showing advanced agricultural techniques. DNA analysis confirms Polynesian roots and hints at possible early contact with South America. Some researchers argue that the Rapa Nui managed their resources better than once believed. The ecocide theory is now being reevaluated, with more focus on external influences like colonialism and slavery. New technology continues to shed light on their engineering, planning, and adaptation. Scientists now collaborate more closely with Rapa Nui descendants to respect cultural knowledge. The more we learn, the more we see that Easter Island was not just a story of decline. It was a story of survival, and it still has much to teach us.
The Moai are no longer just ancient relics. They are living symbols. For the people of Rapa Nui, they represent identity, heritage, and cultural pride. Around the world, they inspire curiosity, awe, and even spiritual wonder. But what do they truly mean today? Are they monuments of political power? Are they expressions of memory, spirit, or mystery? Perhaps they are all these things at once. Understanding the Moai is not just about studying stone. It is about listening to the past, to the people, and to the land. And in that listening, we find meaning beyond explanation.
Today, the Moai stand not only as archaeological wonders, but as guardians of cultural memory. For the Rapa Nui people, they are sacred, tied to ancestors, rituals, and the very land they were carved from. Efforts to restore and protect the statues are led by both scientists and local communities. In museums around the world, Moai taken during colonial times are now being requested for return. These conversations reflect growing respect for cultural ownership and spiritual meaning. At the same time, the statues fascinate researchers, artists, and travelers alike. Their design, placement, and symbolism continue to spark new questions. Some see them as symbols of leadership and lineage. Others see them as cosmic markers or ceremonial tools. In truth, they are complex and multi-layered, just like the people who made them. And that complexity keeps the mystery alive.
The Moai of Easter Island are more than stone statues. They are messages from the past, silent, powerful, and still standing. Built by hands long gone, they continue to raise questions and inspire wonder. They remind us of what humans can create when guided by faith, vision, and unity. Their story is one of creativity, resilience, and cultural strength. But it is also a story of challenge, loss, and survival. What we see today is only part of what they were meant to be. If this video helped you see them in a new way, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more stories like this. There is still much to discover, and together we will keep exploring the mysteries of our world.